Yo, what is going on, guys? Today we're going to be unboxing and taking a first impressions at the Pulsar X2 wireless gaming mouse. Just to preface, this was sent out by Pulsar for review, but as always, that does not affect my opinion at all of the product itself. Starting off just by looking at it, I see a very striking similarity to the G Pro Superlight, especially in the mouse wheel design there. You can see. I'm going to unbox this, we're going to take a look at it, and we're going to see what it's all about. Starting off with pricing though, this is retailing for $95 USD on Amazon. So compared to the Superlight, it is a lot cheaper, and compared to a lot of other wireless mice, it's right around in the middle. Not too expensive, but also not super budget. So yeah, let's get this thing open and we'll go over the build quality as well as the specs. Okay, there it is. You can see from the side compared to the Superlight, the hump is a lot different here. So the hump on the Pulsar actually arches up in the back, very similar to like the Endgame XM1 as well as the Zowie S2. So you can see from the side here, the front is a lot more aggressively slanted down. So let's get this out of the box here. This is the medium size. This comes in two sizes. So this is the medium, and then they also sell a small variant. You have that, and then it also comes in two colors as well, black and white. So getting it straight out of the box here, you can see the bottom, we have little cutouts here. Presumably just to cut down on the weight. Speaking of weight, this mouse weighs around 56 grams, give or take 1 gram. So around 56 grams, which is more light than the Superlight. The Superlight comes in here at 63 grams, whereas this right here is 56 grams, and you can actually feel it. So I do actually feel the difference holding these two side by side. This is slightly lighter, and you can notice it. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the dimensions. So I'm holding it up here. It's actually pretty similar to the Superlight. The length, you're going to have 120 millimeters on the length. Width is going to come in at 63 millimeters. The height on this mouse is 38 millimeters. So actually quite similar to the Superlight. But again, you do have more of an aggressive slant towards the front. Seems like you have more of a hump here at the back too. So the hump here is moved more back, whereas on the Superlight, it's pretty much uniform in terms of the hump. But on the Pulsar, you have the hump more towards the back here, which I actually do prefer. I feel like this actually gives me a better grip of the mouse because I'm a claw gripper. On the bottom here, we do have a power switch as well as a DPI button, and you can see this is how the feet are laid out. You have one around the sensor and then one at the top and one at the bottom. Looks like on the side, you have a little LED indicator. I'm not sure what this is for, maybe battery life, or might be telling you what DPI you're on. And so that's what the mouse looks like right there. Let's see what else we get in the box. We get obviously our wireless receiver here, and you can take this out if you're using it with, let's say, a laptop, just like that. One thing to note is this mouse is actually USB-C. So compared to the Superlight, micro USB, whereas on the Pulsar, we have USB-C. So I know that's important to some people. So there you go, USB-C. That's nice to see. Getting further into the box here, we just have documentation. So there's all the specifications if you want to take a closer look at it. And then of course we have the cable. Very nice braided cable. It's actually very soft. So if you are using this plugged in, you shouldn't have a problem at all. It's a very soft braided cable. Especially on a mouse bungee, I wouldn't see a problem if you're using this wired. But that's about all that comes in the box. So before I get this plugged in and we take a look at the software, let's go over some specs on this thing. So we have a Pulsar 3395 sensor, which means that you don't have to worry about any spin out if you're swiping your mouse across your mouse pad super fast. You also have up to 70 hours of battery life with constant movement. That's actually the same rating that Logitech gives their G Pro Superlight, which the battery on this mouse lasts me at least 2-3 weeks of constant use every day. So we're going to have to see on the battery life, but I would expect this to perform roughly the same. Again, you have the USB-C connection port there, which is awesome. And then you have Kale 8.0 switches, which is very interesting because on the Superlight, you have just normal Omron switches. Pulsar mouse, you're going to have Kale 8.0 switches. So we're going to do a sound test in a little bit here before we get into the software. 1000 hertz polling rate, which is very standard for most gaming mice nowadays. So before we get into the software, let's take a listen to what the switches sound like. So when compared to the Superlight, the clicks on the Pulsar actually are a lot crisper, as expected from kill switches. I do prefer the kill switches over run switches. And the scroll wheel honestly feels roughly the same. Yeah, very nice scroll wheel with defined steps, just like the Superlight. I do like this type of scroll wheel, no complaints about that at all. So let's get into the software now. Let's plug this into the computer and take a look at the software. All right, guys, so I have the software open here. Let's get right into it. I did do a firmware update as well on the mouse. So you can see that on the main page, we can select the mouse that we have. And then on this button assignment page, we can change any of these 5 buttons to anything that we want, whether it's DPI changing or macros. We can do all of that. Debounce time we can change as well, which is basically the time between your clicks. If you're having double clicking issues, you can turn this up. So I'm just going to leave mine at 2 milliseconds. That seems like a good amount there. Heading over to performance, this is a little bit strange that they added this. We're going to talk about it right now. So obviously you can change your DPI. You can change it. You can have 4 different DPIs here. So let's say I wanted 4 different DPIs. You can use the DPI switch on the bottom of the mouse. And you can see on the side of the mouse, we have an LED indicating, and it will change different colors. It'll indicate which DPI you're on, which is obviously really nice. I'm going to change it to 1 just because I only use 800 DPI and I don't want to switch accidentally. Down here, you can change your polling rate, liftoff distance, which is all nice. But there is one thing that is a little bit weird, which I don't think they should have included in the software. So at first, when I was looking at mouse parameters, I wasn't really sure what this was. And I was looking at the mouse sensitivity and I tried changing it. And you can see if I change it all the way to the right, it makes my sensitivity faster. And if I change it all the way to the bottom, you can see how slow my sensitivity is now, pretty much overriding my DPI that I set. And so I did a little bit of research on this, and it looks like mouse parameters, it is directly linked with this right here, with your Windows mouse settings. So the mouse parameters down here actually changes your pointer speed options inside of Windows. So that's a little bit of a strange decision that they made. I don't understand why they would add this in the software. It adds a lot of confusion, and it took me a while to kind of figure out what this was doing. So especially if it's overriding your DPI, I definitely think that this should have been excluded, this section right here. And improved pointer precision is obviously enhanced pointer precision in Windows. It's just different wording. So that is a little bit strange that they would add this inside of the actual software. I don't think I've ever seen any other gaming mouse company do that. And it just adds a lot of confusion. So if I had one recommendation, it would definitely be to take out this section right here. Scrolling speed probably is going to just change the scrolling speed of your mouse wheel, which is fine. But again, this section right here is very confusing on the user end, and definitely I think this should be taken out. But other than that, the software basically does everything that you would need it to do. Over here in the macro section, you can create macros, and obviously you can change all of the assignments on the mouse as well. There is no RGB on this mouse, probably just to save weight and battery life, which is fine by me. DPI effect, I guess you can also make the LED on the side light up and do different sort of effects. You can have a steady color, or you can have it breathe. But yeah, that's pretty much the software. There's only one complaint that I have, which is definitely this mouse parameter section here is a little bit strange, and I would definitely take this out. Oh, and also top right here, you can see the battery life as well, which is nice. And that's pretty much it, guys. As for my closing thoughts on the mouse, I think it's a great shape. I definitely prefer it over my G Pro Superlight. It has nice grooves on the left and right click, so it's very comfortable for my fingers to rest on, as well as the shape I think is perfectly suited for people who fingertip grip and claw grip. Palm grip, not so much, but I think claw grippers and fingertippers will definitely benefit, especially with the hump more towards the back of the mouse. It's definitely more comfortable to grip in the hand compared to the Superlight. I think the pricing is really good as well. It's a lot cheaper than the Superlight, but it's definitely not considered a budget mouse. I would definitely put it in the middle of the road. So overall, for me personally, I will be using this mouse over the Superlight. I think it fits my hand a lot better. I definitely prefer the shape as well. So all in all, I think it's a great mouse, and I would highly recommend this to anybody who's looking for a alternative to the G Pro Superlight, who wants a light wireless mouse while also being relatively affordable and more comfortable. If you're looking for all of that, I think this is pretty much an improvement over the G Pro Superlight. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if it helped you out, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.